Good morning. So today is going to be an interesting session for Trevor and I. This is a very quick electronic session the day before the holiday. The market's actually going to close in 3 hours and 45 minutes, and it's technically an electronic session. So I know typically we all show up at on the 30 to see where the market's going to go. And I am very curious how much volume is going to show up here in the next 30 seconds. But I don't expect it to be unusually high. However, we did have some good news today. Non-farm payrolls came in 147,000 versus 110,000 forecasted. So positive news for new payrolls. And then unemployment rate went down to 4.1% from 4.3%. In general, this is good economic news. So I can see why the market pumped at exactly 7:30 Central Time from the 8:30 news on the Eastern Time. All right.
So how do you rectify, like, one day it's the economy's strong, so that means no cuts, but today it's just economy strong, no recession, and that's good? Like, is that what it is?
That's the right question, Trevor. All right, cool. So we are at the quote unquote open. I'm going to call this a soft open here because I'm expecting traders are showing up to their charts at the quote unquote bell, but this isn't really a normal session. But that's pretty strong. That's a good, solid open here. And on the regular trading hours calendar, it's showing it'll still be open. So it is treating this as a regular session. Okay, that's good to know. I wasn't sure if the RTH chart was going to show us a regular session or not. Okay, so we're just going to crawl into all-time new highs here on the open. I'm going to take a look at a couple other instruments real quick. So gold gapped down significantly. It had this sell-off right on that news as well, and is starting to mean revert. If NQ continues to remain bullish, this is an interesting retrace opportunity on gold for a potential short. But I've been noticing lately that gold will fall against NQ's bullish moves and then all of a sudden revert to becoming more correlated and start to move in step. So it seems like maybe there's a potential for a gap fill here on gold. That happened yesterday. That's why I lost that gold trade. I expected it to be inverted and it wasn't. And I lost that gold trade, but made money on the NQ trade. Let's take a look at oil. Yeah, no real setup or anything familiar here on oil just yet. Go look at the 1 minute chart. Also kind of a bullish open, not a ton of activity. So back
gold
to
was
NQ.
Outside of the 1 hour ATR last hour, so we may have a bounce here on gold. I hate all-time highs. Let's pop over to TradersPost.
Okay, I think the way I'm looking at this is same thing as usual. I'm going to go ahead and hang out here on the 1 minute chart and just watch how we start to form from the open. It seems possible to me that there could be a little bit of a retrace from the electronic session and from yesterday's sort of sideways activity. We gapped up. Typically, I can rely on gaps. I trade gaps quite a bit, and gaps tend to fill more than not, more than 60 to 70% of the time. So there is an opportunity for a gap fill if we close below VWAP here, at which point I'll open a small short here. I'm going to keep my size pretty small as well because this session is just going to be weird, I'm sure. It feels weird to go against the grain here, especially with how bullish the markets have been. But on the smaller time frames, these pullbacks are still profitable, even in an upward bullish move. I can still capture that quick pullback. Are you seeing anything on your side?
Not really. I don't like I don't like trading all-time highs. I'd rather have a major pullback, and then you can at least look at things.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can visualize like, hey, you know what? I really think we're going to go back up to that peak or the next level.
Right.
With this, it's just you're shooting blind.
All right. Let me get my alerts prepared here. I'm actually going to recreate them, so this gives you an idea of how all this works. In general, when it comes to alerts for TradersPost, you collect a JSON message from us, which includes the instructions of how to trade, and then you build an alert with your webhook URL. And that alert from TradingView will execute across the accounts that you've subscribed to your strategy on TradersPost. So I think I've got the correct actually set up a new webhook URL. Let's grab it real quick. I've been hesitant to show my webhook URL live on these streams because technically that is a private thing that you shouldn't let other people see, because that it opens up the door for them sending a signal to your accounts. So I'm going to be a little bit protective of my webhook URL. Well, that's a quick bullish move. All right, so what I've done is created a line with a short sell order. I have no open positions at the moment on TradersPost, and I don't see a move just yet. It's very possible that there's no trade today, but I'm not going to try to force one. What I'll do is measure the opening range. We'll just keep an eye on what's happening from here. Feel free to ping us in the chat here. You guys seeing anything that we're not? Do you think that Dixie now rolls over? That's a good question. I've been keeping an eye on the dollar since it started falling pretty significantly, and it feels like it's starting to show some support here. But I'm not sure, Tom. I think there's a chance that we continue to see a little bit of a pullback here. That is definitely a topic that you, my friend, are more versed in than I am. So perhaps you bring that one up on the next after hours when we have that one scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if I were to take a short from roughly where I think the price might close below VWAP here, just quickly measuring ATR and essentially the distance between where my entry might be and where an exit might be above the opening range, it's about 30 points. So right off the bat, my first contract would be about $60 of risk. And that's exactly where I like to start, is nice and small, not a ton of risk, keeping my initial position very manageable. So even if price moves against me or has like a flash candle out of nowhere, it's not something that's going to scare me or cause me to blow out all my accounts all at once. So as usual, I try to open positions in a very careful and sort of calculated way, slowly adding to my positions as the trend continues in my direction. There's nothing here yet. I'm just trying to re-clarify my process.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have some grilling plans, Trevor?
No grilling plans. We're going to Niagara Falls for the day. So we're driving in. We're driving in tomorrow. It's like 3.5 hours, and then we're coming back Saturday night.
You
I've been there
sound
once I
either
was like,
disappointed or like so excited.
I get like anxious when I haven't been somewhere before. I mean, I've been to Niagara Falls, but like if it's the second time I go somewhere, I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna like go to that restaurant and like go here and park there, and I'm excited. But we're driving through Canada, so that's what I was.
That's always a good time. Good old Canada, eh? You should make a stop and visit Tom and Peter.
Yeah, I should.
They're very east of you though in Quebec.
Oh yeah, no, that wouldn't make any sense.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and try this. I don't like. There we go. Now it's starting to form. I don't have my Tradeovate open, so we didn't get the classic order filled sound in the background.
Order filled.
Order filled. I'll make it for you guys. Order filled.
What's your target then?
Hey. It looks like the dev team pushed out a new update for our subscribed accounts feature on TradersPost. So let me pull this up so you guys can see it. This now allows me to see all my current open short and all of my subscribed accounts plus their open P&L if it's available from the broker. Trade is starting to move in my direction. So if I refresh real quick here, we can see I'm up $22 across these accounts, 40 on my bigger account. And I can see that all the incoming signals that I've been trading for the last few days. So this is my first signal that came through that traded one MNQ contract short across 28 accounts. So this is kind of cool. I like the new subscribed accounts panel here. We didn't have this yesterday. Tom says, my initial expectation is that the USD falls another 2% or so, which means we ain't going down in equities and Bitcoin soon. Totally agree with you. I'm still very bullish on equities in general, especially with non-farm payrolls and unemployment where they are. Would love to see how earnings season pans out as well. And of course, if Powell reduces interest rates, which I think last time I checked the FedWatch tool, we were at... So we'll do the July 30th meeting. We're at a 93% chance of a pause still. So by September, it looks like we're finally going to start seeing our first cut. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add to this. This is looking pretty good. Probably a little early for my second add here, but again, the position size is really small. So now I can see I'm short 2 contracts across all these accounts. It's going to bounce off the opening range, isn't it? Yeah, that felt a little early. I think normally what the better play would have been is to wait for it to retrace up closer to VWAP and maybe add to the position there. But one question I am frequently asking myself is not where do I get out or where do I, set my stop or anything like that. If the trend starts going in my direction, I'm immediately asking myself, where do I add? Where would I feel comfortable adding? Try to keep that bias towards staying in the position and adding to it. Tom says, you can visit me, but Peter lives behind God's back, as Mother would say. All right, may or may not be a gap fill today. Let's go ahead and add the exit levels indicator on here so I can keep track of this position. So we've got an average fill price of $22,946.50. We are short. We're in 2 contracts now. And I'm not going to do the take profit of 22,841-ish or so. Stop loss around 23,000. God, I can't believe I'm saying 23,000 out loud on NQ.
It's wild. Never thought we'd be here again.
Okay, so putting my stop currently with 2 contracts would be about a $214 loss. As a reminder, I am trading MNQ from the NQ chart. It gets a little confusing with this indicator. So it looks like my stop loss would be $1,840. That's not the case. I'm in a much smaller position. Definitely added that second contract too early. This is where I'd want to add the second, but I want to see how it tests and retests VWAP here. Downtrend still looks pretty good. The regression trend has a decent Pearson score of 0.81. This is definitely slower moving, which is kind of what I was expecting. Not a ton of initial volume here. Interesting. Okay. How does the market want to respond to VWAP here?
Data at 9:45.
What do we have at 9:45?
There was just something. I remember when I went on Top Step X, it popped up something. Let's see.
Let's see what the unimportant stuff is. Let me make this a little bit larger. Sorry, guys.
PMI final read, June market composite services PMI.
Got it. Okay, so this downtrend is definitely starting to weaken. We're coming up against the other side of the opening range. I've got my stop prepared. Let me make sure this alert is set up as well. So this line, this white line, forget about this indicator for a sec. Let me just turn this off. This white line is going to be my exit line to exit all the positions at the same time. So the default message on this is the MNQ contract and an exit call or exit action rather. And I'll go ahead and add my alert. I see my exit. My message is pre-populated because that's the default text of the line. And then my webhook URL is already predefined there because that's the last one I used. So I have my exit set up basically a little bit above the opening range, but it looks like it's actually heading in my direction. I'm going to add my third contract. Here's the huge order filled.
Bling.
And we're in by 3. I still got to figure out how to not get such a loud order filled sound. I guess I could log into a different Tradevate account where I only have one account instead of 20. And that would make that sound a little bit quieter. Cool. We got our first real comment from a spam bot. Fantastic. All right, added mainly because of my confidence around how the market responds to VWAP. This is looking like a trade I'm going to have to go ahead and manage the loss on. And it happens.
We got spoiled with yesterday.
We did. But I try not to think about my previous trades. Every trade's a new opportunity. And it's just like the casinos. You go to the roulette table. The table doesn't have any memory. Market doesn't have any memory of your previous 3 or 4 trades or any of your previous trades. So we get into these psychological zones where sometimes we can be on a winning streak and assume that the next one's going to be a winner as well. It's just not how it works. Pretty strong uptrend, weaker downtrend now. Unfortunately, this may look like a loser. Definitely wasn't an A+ setup. If anything, I definitely put on a trade just to put on a trade because we're here on a live stream. I can see there's some of that playing a role here. And if I'm right, it'll be because the market decides to reject off this opening range and we retest the bottom here again. So I may have some small profits I could take on this. I would love to see the gap fill, but it doesn't always go the way I'd want.
Maybe.
All right, we'll take a look at something else here. I have my exit set up already, so I can walk away from this trade for a second. Gold's doing the inverse thing right now.
Yep, right off hourly ATR. It wicked outside of it and then just bounced back.
Bounced right back again. I may want to come back to this one because there could be a long gap fill here. Maybe. I mean, it really started to look really bullish outside of this channel.
The short trading days always mess me up.
Same. It's
I don't like having a bookend.
Session. Yeah, I'm not seeing a short here in oil just yet. We're going to get stopped out here on this trade. Not quite the setup that I would normally feel good about. It's funny. For journaling purposes here, this is going to be one I would reflect on and say, I knew in advance this wasn't a perfect setup. There's a lot about the session that I don't like. There's a lot about the setup, the lack of volume, the fact that it's not a real or it's a short day in general. I can fully expect that there might not be a lot of follow through on my trade. If it chops and ranges around VWAP here for a while and stays inside the opening range, that's fine. At least then I can live with my position just kind of moving around against me because I'm not risking much at all. Right now I'm down $100. But if price moves below and we break below this opening range, well, then I can add to my position a little bit further, get to maybe 3 or 4 contracts, fill up some of this gap, and then maybe take a little profit home. But if it continues in this direction and hits my stop, that's it. That's all she wrote for today.
Yeah, adding to your position is
there it is.
It's tough.
And I'm out. Thanks, guys.
Dang, sorry.
Okay, so that was a big bounce, a little bit bigger than I expected, and it's a little more than I would typically want to risk. It came out at 286 on most accounts, so a little bit of slippage there, and primarily because it looks like by the time the alert got to TradersPost and executed with the broker, it was still a little bit high on price. So is what it is. Let's delete this alert. Oops. Turn everything off. Make sure I'm done for the session. One of the other things I try to do too is disable my strategy on TradersPost so that after I'm out of positions, if I accidentally left a line or alert on the chart or something like that, and it sends off a signal to TradersPost, it doesn't accidentally put me in a position that I shouldn't be in. So I've disabled my strategy and I think we're all set for the day. 22 minutes after the quote unquote open here, and we took a small loss for the day.
So what's your typical sizing when you're doing prop specifically?
I always start with the one MNQ. MNQ is definitely my go-to instrument. Sometimes I'll trade MGC and follow kind of a similar pattern there. Gold trends just as much as NQ trends, if not more. Obviously, it's been so bullish in gold for such a long time now that you can catch some really good longs on gold. Oil is a very different instrument. It's more stationary. It has very clear ranges and boundaries of price. So I tend to try to go long when we hit the bottom of that range around $55 and go short around 75. It just depends on what the market's showing on those days, but it's more of a mean reverting instrument. So I trade it a little bit differently. All that said, position sizing is always the same. Just start with the smallest contract and add to the position as it starts to move in your favor. In my case, I definitely added the second one to at the bottom of this opening range, which was not the right call. I would have wanted to wait to add to the second position once it came back to VWAP and closed fully below VWAP. So that would have been a better correction there. And then I ended up adding right here on this candle before it fully closed, and then I was in by 3 when I really shouldn't have been. So simple corrections there. In general, the rules I should be following here are really around adding to a position when there's a very clear signal to the direction you're in. And you'll know, like we said on the last couple of streams, I know that my position is a winner within the first 5 or 10 minutes of taking the trade. And right off the bat, the market was telling us this is not a short sell. This is going to be a long.
Yeah, that's why I never have been great at shorting. I remember when I was still, I don't even know how many years in. I'm barely anything more than a rookie at this point. But when I was more of a rookie, I think it was, I don't know, some war, Russia maybe. When was that? When did that start? I think it was when Russia, like the first Russia thing happened, and I was just, we gapped down 1 million points, and I was just like, I don't know if I shorted, but I definitely didn't long. But now I would have, like, that's all you would have done. It was just immediately at open, you're like, all right, we're longing. Like, this is a long, easy long. We're just going to go back up. Yeah, I was just like hesitant and didn't do it. But my worst trades have always been like, price goes up, comes down, and I'm like short here, and then comes back up. Oh gosh, not a good shorter.
Yeah, this is a tough trade. I think if anything, the better trade at this point would probably be taking a look to see if gold wants to fill its gap down. But again, I think I kind of knew coming into this session today, it's going to be a weird session because it's only open for 3 hours. There's how many more hours left on NQ? Yeah, 3 hours, 18 minutes. So we'll come back Monday. We'll come back strong and add to a good winning position in the right way. But small takeaway here today. I think at this point, this is where I would probably lock out if that's a feature you enjoy using. I think we're talking about adding it to TradersPost as well, because I do think a lot of people feel like, look, I had the mentality of knowing that right now is the time to quit and get out of my position. I don't want to feel like FOMO pulls me back into the market, and even if it does, I want to make sure that you keep me out. So we're considering the lockout feature on TradersPost as well, so that even if you send signals through, it's just going to completely ignore it.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's interesting. So instead of trading windows, which is not something that you'd want to be messing around with like a lot, and then disable. So it's like halfway between a disable and a trading window where you can go. Yeah, I like that. I like that actually. You're like, all right, I'm not in a trade now. We have FOMC at 2 o'clock. Let's turn it back on at 2:30 or something. Yeah, I like that.
We can look at a few different ways to do it. I think the problem is that in order for it to work, there can't be a way to circumvent it, right? It's like the cell phone lock boxes where you put your cell phone in the plastic bin and it has a timer on it and a lock. And people are like, look, I'm addicted to my phone, so let me put this in here and I'll lock it and I'll come back to my phone in 2 hours. And I don't want to feel compelled to go pick it up and check my notifications and all that. So that lockout time is set. There's no way around it. But on TradersPost, you might be able to lock yourself out of one strategy, but just go create another strategy and get around it again. So how do we build it to where you can lock yourself out, but it doesn't affect any of the other things you have running that you're comfortable running, right? Because people have multiple strategies, multiple accounts, multiple asset classes. It could be one of those things that ends up causing more problems than it solves. and it may not be effective if it's not entirely blocking you out of your whole account. So I don't know. We need to give that one some thought.
Yeah, it's one thing it's one thing when the only thing that you're blocking out is just a manual ability to trade, like on Project X or whatever, where it's like you're just locking the guy, like you're locking me out, versus TradersPost, where like you're locking out like 1,000 random people that are trying to knock on your door over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like it's different. It's like I only like, all right, well, I'm done, but it's like now we have signals that they don't know it's done, and it's just blah, 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 blah. I think the happy medium maybe to start would be that it isn't something that you like are permanently locked out of, because I know that for Trade Beacon that, you know, like what I said, oh, we should probably disable it for this event or whatever, and then afterwards, like it would have entered at 3 o'clock, but shoot, I forgot to turn it back on. Like that, I wouldn't have wanted to like permanently lock myself out of, but I almost like a disable time period where I can go, all right, disable it until 10, and then at 10 turn it back on, and if something happened, I just undo that. I'm not like trying to necessarily lock myself out, but there have been definitely times where I'm like, I should probably turn this off for a couple hours, but I don't want to forget to turn it back on.
Yeah. So are you thinking that would still be like on a strategy basis where it only affects, you know, you could basically go to, well, right now I disabled my all accounts strategy, but in theory I could throw a lockout. You know, let's say we put a lockout feature here. You would specify the number of hours you want it locked out, and then you click go, and you know, I could say lock me out for 24 hours, and it would just be available again on Sunday night when the market's open again. Is that what you're thinking there, where it's just on a strategy basis?
Yeah, and maybe lockout is too harsh to start. Maybe it's just like a timed disable, or a disable with an endpoint kind of thing. That would be cool. I think that would be very useful. But yeah, I think per strategy, it would just go, all right, I still want to do manual trading, but the trades that I know are going to fire through for this strategy, I just want to disable it until tomorrow. And if I want to change my mind, I can do that too.
Yeah. Tom is saying add nag messages. How would that work, Tom? I'm curious about that comment. Are you saying that when alerts come in, we bug them about? I'm trying to figure out what you mean by that one.
Like when it turns off, or when you could set like a timer, maybe it would ping you and say, hey, you forgot to turn this back on.
Or maybe the other way. If I disable it or lock myself out and it sees incoming trades, it might nag you about, you know, you already setting a policy for your strategy and just trying to remind you of like, hey, remember, you did this on purpose.
SPY 625.
How are we looking elsewhere in the market here? Amazon's up, Oracle's up. Cool. I'm holding some other positions here for a little while. I had bought Oracle on the pullback, and that's up 27% now. And the tech names move. I also bought United Healthcare, and that's up 7.6% now.
Did you buy it like on that big dump?
Yes. You mean UNH?
Yeah.
The main thing with UNH was really around its valuation. With news events like the ones that it really went through, in general, it's usually a really great opportunity to buy. I mean, UNH is a massive, profitable organization. So I averaged in on UNH at an average of 287.95, and we're up at 310 now. And it's starting to show pretty bullish sentiment so far. So we'll see if it continues from here. I thought the same thing about Novo Nordisk, but man, that's been a tough one, a tough hold for now. I'm down 14% on that. But Oracle, that move was fantastic. I got in at 183 Oracle.
Larry Ellison knows what he's doing. So what was the first dump on UNH was when the CEO got killed, and then the second one was, I mean, there's 3 gap down drops. It's wild. It's a wild chart.
I think some of it was I'm trying to remember the news feed on it.
Oh, it was earnings. I think that was earnings, actually.
Yeah, there was a tough earnings call there, and I think that was on the one that really pulled it back was the earnings surprise back in April. On April 17th, they posted a surprise earnings and surprise revenue drop, and that really pulled most of that price back after that point. It seemed like it was all kind of technical at that point. Cool. Well, I don't know that there's much more to really find here today. I'm not spotting any new opportunities on the chart. Once again, I'm not excited to trade this session in general. Probably should have just avoided it, but we took a small loss. We managed risk the way that we're supposed to, and I think that's part of the lesson here is keep your risk managed.
I mean, if you would have held it, you would be down another 60 points. I mean, it was a good exit. At least it didn't immediately die. So
right.
The best stop outs continue on for 300 points, and you're like, all right, I'm a genius for getting out.
That is definitely something that I've tried to like reinforce in my mind is when I exit a position exactly where I envisioned exiting it, exactly where I said I was going to get out, that to me is the success. I've successfully managed that risk in my mind. And so instead of feeling like bad about the loss and feeling, like I failed in some way, that's not how this works. The mentality of it is the market's going to do what the market's going to do. And sometimes I'm either right or I'm wrong about the direction of where it's going to go. But what I'm in control of is where I get out of that position. So it is successful in my mind if I've managed that risk appropriately. Mm-hmm. So Tom says the person can go ahead and create new strategies or whatever, but there are hurdles along the way to remind you that you're going against your plan.
It's like what's his face from Jurassic Park? You didn't say the magic word. You go to do it, and it's just like, are you sure about this? It's a picture of your wife going, are you sure? You said that you were done today.
Right. Maybe we should do like a version of Clippy that's always down there in the bottom right-hand corner. We'll bring Clippy back. No, I think that's
out of your risk parameters.
That's a good point. As for the psychology-based tools like a Lockout, if you were to go and create the strategy, another strategy with the same instruments and same accounts, then maybe at that point we could highlight some kind of red banner that's like, hey, you have a Lockout on another strategy for the same instruments and same brokers. Are you sure you want to move forward? Because you already locked yourself out. So I could see that, the nag messages that Tom has recommended here. In any event, we'll continue to listen to the feedback we get from our customers and explore tools that make your trading better. And I love the feature, especially if it helps you manage risk, because one of those risks is you. We are our own risk in the way we manage our positions, the decision to continue to get into positions. That's all risk that doesn't show up on your back test. Hey, Peter. I think we are wrapping up here. There's no other trades that we're really seeing on the chart at the moment. Nasdaq is obviously very bullish. I had a bearish sentiment at the moment, or at the open. Probably bad idea. Managed the position, got out at where I expected, and we're going to try to come back on Monday because this sort of boring semi-electronic session is not really a market I want to trade anyway. Did you get anything, Trevor, on your side?
Nothing. I know. As soon as you said it was closing at 1 o'clock, my brain kind of shut off. It's just I didn't. True. One, thank you for saying that. Two, I don't love having time limits on trades, but it's an interesting market. I mean,
Yep.
I'm a bull. I think to be bearish is un-American in general, but it's just like, did we fix everything? Is everything's fixed? We're good?
No, definitely didn't fix everything. And
War is
remember,
over. I mean, it's crazy how quickly it's like tariffs, whatever. Iran, Israel, like what's up? What happened there? I don't know.
Nothing.
We're moving forward.
Apparently it's all over. Yeah. I'm with you. And every time we heard from economists that the inflation was going to be persistent because of tariffs, we continue to see positive economic indicators. So I guess we're all, I recognize that, especially around supply chains and in general imports and exports, the data there is very lagging. It takes time for us to see the real impact. So we'll have to give it some time. Tom says Bitcoin is always open. Come on, the water is fine. Tom,
Jeez.
I am with you, and I think maybe we could add some live streams around crypto trading as well.
Yeah, less fundamentals and more just technical analysis.
Just technical moves. Yep. That's where I cut.
That's why gold is like that. I mean, if you just kind of play it technically, but then when you get underwater, I'm just like, what is gold? What is this?
Right,
the ultimate play was just buying gold from Costco, just going away for a couple of years. Those like little gold things. You could have just bought it straight up, $2,000.
You could. Damn. You can buy gold coins at Costco. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you didn't realize that? No. You can buy gold. Little gold. Whatever they're like rectangles.
Are they
whatever
bullion
that's called.
Pieces, or are they actually like gold American Eagles, or what are they?
No, it's I mean, look. There was like a whole news about it. 1 ounce gold bar. And then you could have just straight up walked in and bought it for whatever the.
Does it have the Costco logo printed on it too?
No, it's like Rand Refinery or something. It's not Costco branded,
so
but
it has nothing
you could have.
Yeah,
you could buy it from $2,000 and then walk into a pawn shop and Costco are offering 1 ounce gold bars for 2 months ago, $33.99. So there's a premium, but there's plenty of meat on the bone now.
Interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll have to give that a look. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up here. We'll come back Monday, we'll come back Tuesday. We're going to be doing our live streams for trading on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We got too many things going on Mondays and Fridays. So while we might be trading in the background, we'll be live streaming on those days during the week, sandwiched in the middle. So we'll call that the sandwich sessions. Pick up a Costco hot dog with my gold purchase. Yes, that is definitely the plan. Or I've discovered they also have this thing called the chicken bake there now. Have you guys had the chicken bake at Costco?
Oh, I've seen that.
It is unbelievable.
What about the double chocolate cookie? It's Costco, boys.
Yep. All right, Trevor. Well, I will catch up with you next week, my friend. Happy Independence Day. Also, everybody who's watching at the moment, keep an eye on the news. Keep an eye on your email as well as your dashboard and TradersPost. We've got an announcement we're going to go live with very soon here about some discount opportunities on TradersPost. So that'll give you an opportunity to get additional accounts at discount, upgrade your existing accounts with this coupon so that you can get a discount on higher plans, or with additional add-ons so you can add paper accounts, trade more prop accounts, whatever you prefer. But keep an eye out. We're going to run a promotion here real quick. Cheers, everybody. See you next week.